Bitcoin co-founder, and there is a lot going on in Rhode Island today. Do you want to take us? It's Wednesdays, best time of the week. We've got Josh Cullion from Mott and Chace. He's going to talk real estate with us. It is our passion on Wednesdays to talk about what's going on in the Rhode Island real estate market because it is never, ever dull. Josh, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, let's start with just around the corner. We're in the Turk's Head building. We're on the first floor looking out over the city. It's absolutely beautiful today. The sun is out. The ice has melted. Just one block over is the Custom House condos. You launched them about 6 months ago. And that project's gone pretty well, eh?
It's gone fantastic. Thanks for asking. We officially launched, realistically, it was October, November. It took a little bit longer than anticipated, but we hit the ground sprinting. And of the 11 units, I can proudly say we have since closed on 7. We have an 8th unit pending, scheduled to close in a few weeks. And that leaves 3 others still available. And the activity's been fantastic. Everything is sold at full asking. It's a great product. I think that's a testament to that for sure. And yeah, very proud of it. It's fantastic. And it's just around the corner from where you stand now.
Yeah, no, the finish on the building, on the units was spectacular. Extraordinary effort was put in. I would just gloss over it if I thought otherwise. But these really are spectacular downtown living units.
They are, truly.
What's the state of the condo market right now? You know, we'll get into the single family homes in a minute, but where's condos right now? Sort of what's the ebb and flow?
Condo sector is you know, it's almost a parallel. It's very similar. It's as everybody knows and hears and reads about right now, it's a limited inventory. It's 14 listings right now, you know, that are currently available. 02903, 02906. You know, outside of that in the city, I don't think there are many more. So the absorption rate's way off. A lot of demand still out there, Josh. Low inventory, and you know the Feds are doing the best they can with the rate. I think the blessing is the silver lining. There's not a glut of homes or condos on the market right now, and that's essentially helping the prices staying balanced and not declining or dropping precipitously, which is a great thing for current owners and you know just the state of the market in general.
Yeah, I was talking to one of your peers at Mott and Chace who had a property over on the east side, had some crazy number of people walking through in the past week, and that property I think now is pending. There's no inventory, so when a nice property comes on, it's getting, a nice property would always get attention, but now it's just sort of, is it getting as crazy as it was during sort of the height of the pandemic where, you know, 50 people would show up to see an open house?
That's currently the reality on the front lines out there, for sure. And you know, I think the only difference between comparing the two is, you know, instead of essentially having 12 multiple offers, you know, you have 3 or 4, which is still amazing. I mean,
right,
by all means. And you know, over asking, different types of terms and conditions to be competitive. It's still the reality out there. So you know, it's definitely a unique time for the market.
So, you know, catching up on reading, you know, the former head of housing at Goldman Sachs is very, very bullish on what 23 is going to be. Some others, USA Today has a story, there's still some problem areas in the housing market. You know, we look at this all the time and look at the data. I just don't see, when you've got 40% less inventory year over year, the reality is, regardless what the interest rates are, people have life, right? Folks die, that house has to be sold, people
Sure.
have children, people move in for jobs. There's going to be tremendous demand this spring season, and as interest rates go down, which they look like they may, we'll hear more from Powell, I think, this week, But we're going to see more and more demand looking for houses in this Rhode Island market, it looks like.
I agree. I definitely agree. I don't believe there's going to be any type of slowdown as far as my forecast and experience is. I'm kind of saying to myself, it's robust in terms of the demand. I think we're still well priced, relative to some the other larger markets out there that are not far from us, the Boston market, the New York City market, of course, the tri-state area. And to parallel that, it's interesting because over the past 4 years, call it 3, you've had almost a decade worth of price appreciation, value appreciation. So where does that go? How does that get adjusted? They're all interesting questions, and it's going to be an interesting year. I feel like the forecast for this year is going to be similar to last year relative to the activity. It's going to be high demand, low inventory, and it'll be a balancing act. I think the values are going to increase slightly over Q1 and Q2, as they typically do if you study the market. And then by Q3 and Q4, there might be some slight adjustment to the value relative to demand and pricing as we go into the fall and end of the year. Way ahead of ourselves on that. But, that's typically what I've kind of seen over the past few years.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that far off, right? If you were looking to sell your house, by the time you get it cleaned up and painted and fix up that bathroom, right? There's
right.
Just that bathroom. You're into Q3. The economist for the National Realtor says, listen, interest rates may be in the 5s or even lower by third and fourth quarter. That's going to spark a lot more interest. Could we see housing prices? I mean, it's just, for those of us who grew up here and have lived here, the idea of right now the median price of a single family home is just under 4. It's about $390 this last month reporting. Could we see $450 by the end of the year, or is that too aggressive?
Never say never, right? If I were to guess, I want to say maybe we'll be in that 415, maybe 4.25, range. Just again, given what might transpire, similar to last year, if we follow that trend. I have clients relocating right now from the tri-state area. They just put their house on the market. They had that bathroom, in all due respect.
Yeah.
So if you're watching out there, don't be upset with me for sharing that. But they've got multiple offers. They've got almost 20 offers in hand, respectfully, and amazing for them. And they are going to be relocating and transitioning here to Rhode Island. So we'll be working with them to find a new home, and they understand that there's limited inventory, and the prices might not be so far off from what they live in now and what they might be buying here. So it's crazy out there, Josh. It's it's a big market for sure.
And is your biggest frustration? I mean, listen, I see most everybody who lists what, and some people are specialists at 4-bedroom colonials in East Greenwich, and other people. You're like the cool place to live. You have that great property over in Pawtucket. What was it? Kazarian's place, that amazing unit, and then you've had Custom House. I mean, is it making you have to work harder to have so many cool properties available at one time?
Appreciate that. You do, and it's just a testament to how hard you work and connecting or relating with specific type of clients and customers, and having an appreciation and knowledge, of course, for the history and the type of architecture and the interior architecture and design, the aesthetic of it all. So I'm super grateful and blessed, of course, to be involved with such projects. It's been fantastic.
And is that the lost art a little bit, as people are moving so quickly, selling house, they forget sometimes to tell the stories? I mean, if you've got a house on College Hill, there's pretty much guaranteed an unbelievable story tied to American history. Some more than others, obviously, but many of the houses have remarkable lineage and legacies that are incredible. They're literally tied to not only the history of Providence or Rhode Island, but they were that industrialist who invented X, Y, or Z that has transformed the Industrial Revolution.
1,000,000%. And that's, I think that's our, as an agent, passionate about the business and about properties and the history, it has a story to it, and everybody loves a story legitimately, and those types of different scenarios. And there's all different types of cast of characters, as you're well aware. Right, we all are, some good and bad, all the above. And, it's history and having that storyline of certain rooms in a property or areas of a property and what was done or, how it was used, it's super cool. And then how it's transformed over the years and utilized, for today's standards is, it's just sort of the nice piccadillys that come along with, showing a property and showcasing its attributes. And, all the time, every single listing has a different aspect to it as far as the story.
Listen, my favorite house is over on Lancaster Street in the Mount Hope section of the city. It's a brick house, has a low wrought iron fence. That neighborhood at the time when this individual lived there was primarily an African-American black community, a little bit of Irish and Jewish on the other side of the street. But that was Raymond Patriarch Sr.'s home for most of his adult life. And you'd never think that it would be A, in that neighborhood, and B, with that demographic combination living around him.
Yeah, and who came to visit? Who came and went? No, you would never know. Exactly. God bless. I mean, that's Providence, that's Rhode Island, and it's the smallest state in the country, but there's jam-packed with robust storylines and history there. So a lot of it you can't talk.
Providence Preservation Society needs to rethink their little placards. Maybe they should have the little history up on those things rather than just the black ink with the logo on the whiteboard. Listen, Josh, tell me though. Last question: where are we going if you're a buyer right now and you've got to get to Rhode Island? Your wife just is going to med school at Brown. You just got hired at Textron. Whatever the scenario is, what should you be doing as the buyer coming into Rhode Island?
The expectation is, of course, work with a trusted agent, certainly, and embrace and trust the process and what their recommendations are relative to being competitive and prepared to pounce on something, because sometimes it only is available for a short period of time, days. And, essentially, if it's, to your point earlier in the conversation here, if it's a house, even if it has that bathroom or that kitchen or anything that needs to be done, it's going to have multiple offers, and there's ways to be competitive without necessarily having to be the top dollar within the group of other offers. And then maybe forecasting and looking at, without being eyes wide shut, the long-term value of the lifestyle and the enjoyment and the pride of ownership you're going to get owning something like that, and the stories and the history of the property. By chance, there are most likely that would be the case if you're going to be downtown or historic East Side and other places in the state, respectfully. So, again, it's all about being organized and prepared and setting up the expectations for yourself, and and having patience, because it might not be just the first time around. It might take more than once to throw your hat in the ring.
Yeah, maybe treat it as a little bit of an adventure. Listen, Josh Cullion, thanks so much for joining us. As always, love to hear your expertise, and congratulations on all the success over at Custom House. It's a great property. It's a great addition to Providence. That's a building that sort of wallowed for the past few decades. So great to see it turned into something extraordinary. For everybody else, stay tuned. We've got a big story. It's about real estate. It's a follow-up on a story we broke last week on developer Joe Paolino buying the RDW Group. Look for that story up shortly. We've got some other things breaking throughout the day. And also, just a reminder, tonight's the PC Georgetown game. You haven't gotten that flu shot or that last booster shot. COVID is still going around. I just talked to our producer. He's got COVID. He's at home. It's not an easy time. You don't want to go to Rhode Island Hospital Emergency Room if you don't have to. So stay healthy, get those shots, and be healthy. Enjoy everything that's going on, this beautiful weather out in Rhode Island. Thanks, everybody.